Hello, welcome to another segment of Comparative Reasoning. I'm your host, Cedric Kennedy, and today I'll be talking about the Alabama chemical castration thing and pretty much just giving my direct thoughts on it. I wrote down a lot of stuff, not necessarily in any particular order because I wrote it as it came to me and things like that. It'll be more hyper focused and in better arrangement on Medium, keeping that in mind. So, listening to this, I listened to a thing on it, and I will read that first because I wanted to listen to a little bit of it. And, first the question is, what is chemical castration? My first thought was, I know how they castrate bulls, so maybe there's a chemical version that rots the scrotum and all the genitals, and the testicles and stuff fall off or something. That was my first thought, since the United States loves their chemicals. So I read this. It says the treatment, usually administered in a tablet form or by injection, blocks testosterone production and affects a person's sex drive. That's very blatant, but when you block testosterone, yes, it will affect a person's sex drive. As you get older, testosterone drops off, whether you're male or a female. And that does affect sex drive. And it says, however, it is usually reversed when treatment is discontinued. Well, that's nice. That's really good. And then this dude, and before I get to my own stuff, it says the bill has been criticized by the American Civil Liberties Union of Alabama, basically. Executive Director Randall Marshall told AL.com, it's not clear that it actually has any effect and whether it's even medically proven. When the state starts experimenting on people, I think it runs afoul of the Constitution. My honestly first thought in all of that was, you think, man, you're in a position of power. You need to know. People need to stop thinking when they're talking about things that they know. If they don't know, don't say don't say I think. It's like, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And even then, at least you say you don't know, not I think, because people like to use I think in place of it is. And that's just a tactic that's become colloquial. That's the problem with that. It's a tactic that's become colloquial. So my thoughts were on this. These are just my thoughts, So let me know how you feel about them. Please, in the comment section, let me know. But my first thought was, it presupposes my personal needs of punishment. That's what happens. So if someone hurts physically, sexually, someone that I know that's in my life, what should I do? Well, I can't do anything. You just presuppose what I would like. Take the sperm away. I mean, and what, there's been trials and stuff done all over the world, and some, volunteers in the United Kingdom. But there's nothing that's been definitely proven, considering the fact that everyone uses different chemicals and different chemical dosage. And going on, and just because, look, everyone's testicles are roughly about the same size. The scrotum will look, larger, smaller, or whatnot. But the testes are roughly the same size. So you got to also take into effect of the person's natural body weight. Their height, their weight, their diet, their health, other chemicals in their body, what might interfere with the injection in the first place or make alterations, because we're nothing but a chemical factory inside. That's what we are. There's a nice flow of things, but when you eat things that has, phosphorus things in it, because companies didn't care to, they didn't want to be regulated to keep the phosphorus things out, or there are other artificial sweeteners in there that's too much, which turns it into the pesticide that is derived from, and we ingest that, and other things that we just can't pronounced. So when you mix all of that as a cocktail, you got to wonder what's going to really happen. So it's stuff like that I think about. And I'm going to get deep with this. It's going to be some real psychological twist thriller stuff, okay? So let's see. I wrote, if the punishment is this, then does it obligate them to serve no jail time, since you supposedly killed the very thing that forced them to commit the crime? I mean, think about that. If some guy goes in, and it sucks I have to keep saying it like this, but if a guy goes in and rapes a female, and the grand punishment, kill your sperm, kill your sex drive, you're not going to do this again. That initially is the point of prison, to get them away from society so they can't do it again. You see what I'm saying? So that's already it's punishment. So I mean, it just makes sense. It's sort of like when religious people, something happened to them, and the religious person says, well, I've forgiven them. And let them out of prison. They're forgiven. It's all good. The person that they have wronged no longer cares for them to be locked up because they've been forgiven. Now, if you want them locked up, then you're lying. You haven't forgiven anything. Keep that in mind. That's important. That's what forgiveness is. If you can't stop punishing them, then you've not forgiven them. But I guess that could be another subject, I suppose. And then here's the thing. Does it stop them from raping again? Does it? Because you kill the testosterone. There's people with barely any testosterone, and they can still get an erection, and they still have fantasies. And they still enact on those fantasies. So if the idea is to keep them from raping again, why not this? Keep them from raping in the first place. Now, granted, not everyone, you just can't look at someone and say, oh, that's a rapist. There's a lot of people I can look at and say, that's a stone cold racist. And that's usually black or white people. I can just look at them like, man, like Jim Cornette. If you look at him, he's like a stone cold racist, but he's not. So you can't judge a book by its cover. But sometimes it's a safe assumption. I mean, if somebody looks like a murderer, stay the fuck away from them. Some things are just logical. They might not be. They might be a beautiful philanthropist and just loves to smell the flowers. You wouldn't know it because they're sitting there looking at you, snarling, drooling with a gun and a twitching eye. So, appearances can keep you safe and it can make you look like a dumbass. Life is risky this way. So, the other thing I wrote, because this is all random just stuff that was coming to me. Why is prison not enough? Why must we keep pushing the narrative that only rapists are men and men that transition into females? Why must we do that? Every time what's been the narrative? The transgender people, they're going to go into the bathroom and they're going to rape your little girl. That's all it's ever been. They're gay. So these gay men are going to go in there and molest your little girl. Just think about, this is religious people saying this stuff. And it's been documented millions of times already. It's been on the front page. It's been all over YouTube. They will say homosexual men will go into the bathroom and rape your little girl. That makes no sense. No one has ever called anyone out on this. And then saying men that transition into women, they're the ones that want to go in and rape your little girl. All right, I'm going to get to the thing that no one's paying attention to. But just think about this. Just think about the logic of this. To undergo maybe $200,000 or more in surgeries, jacking your money up for the rest of your life. All right. You're going to go through this and physically alter as much of you as possible so you can sneak into the ladies' room and find a little girl and rape her. Just think about that. That's if somebody actually did that, I would say, okay, they got a case for one person out of the 2 or 3% that are transgender, if it's even in the 1% that are transgender in the United States. I think honestly, I'm going to be straight up with you. I think it's those people's fantasies. They want to see something like that, And truthfully, I'm waiting for the porn to come out that looks like it, the fantasy porn. I'm waiting on that. Because most likely it's going to be some 22-year-old person passing off as 18, but then cited to be like barely legal. So that's really what the porn industry is. It's just absolute fantasy. And luckily, people who watch porn don't go out and do this stuff because they're fulfilled already. It's those that are super crazy, repressed preachers, Catholic preachers, and all these other religious people that are sexually repressed that go out and do this stuff. But see, that's my other issue, because they're the ones that keep pushing these laws against everyone, and all they're doing is projecting. Let's get these laws up and say all of this, because if we do this, then nobody's going to come after us. They're not going to think it's us if we keep pushing the laws and putting the blame on everything else that's questionable or undesired by the religious community, which happens to be the great majority of this country. All right. And now the thing that I want to get to, notice that it's always little girls. It's not your teenage daughters. It's not your wife, your girlfriend. It's always your little girl. You know why? Because there's a stigma in this country to protect little girls and be damned of little boys. That's just it. Protect your little girls. They're innocent. They're cute. They do no wrong. They're absolutely perfect little angels. Make sure they dress in pink and light little weak colors to express how weak and pitiful that they are. And when they get older, just remember that anything they say, they don't know what they're talking about. They're just ditzy-headed women because they grew up like that, because they were trained to be idiots and all that. And honestly, a lot of females are trained to be idiots. They are. Just like every guy is trained to be an absolute moron. Guys are trained to be diehard morons, and it takes a lot to fight out of that. It really does. So just keep that in mind. They want to keep pushing the narrative, and it makes the mother in you just, no, not my little girl. No, wait a minute, I ain't got no damn children. So just keep that in mind. Listen to what these people are saying. Don't just nod your head because it pre-agrees with you. Listen to them. Listen to how they're trying to drive you. Push your emotions, not your rationality. Because if you push somebody's emotions, you've got them locked. Because nobody wants to use rationality. They just want to go with how they feel at the time. It's very important. So now I wrote this. I've heard, seen, and experienced women taking advantage of males. And yes, I've seen girls in school and whatnot. I've seen them, talk that trash and go after the ego and, do all kinds of mind games and stuff. And the whole, if you're a real man, you'll do this. A real man would, a real man wouldn't, and then tell their boyfriends what a real man looked like. Or why can't you do this? A guy that's ready could or would. Yeah. Toxic masculinity comes from toxic femininity as well. And vice versa. Men dish it out to women just as much as women dish it out to men. It is circular, toxic stupidity. That's just the truth of it. You can't hide from it. You can deny it, and it'll always be in your face. You can lie to yourself, or you can accept the truth. And when you accept the truth, then you can start evoking some change. That is truth. If you can't deal with it, then you don't need to be subscribed to me if you can't deal with the truth. This ain't my truth. This is overall absolute truth. Men and women destroy each other while blaming each other for their destruction. And when it's not enough for men and women to blame each other, they go after the LGBTQ plus community. You know? Or what is it, the GRSM community? I've noticed that others have adopted that, however the acronym or whatnot goes. Okay. Yeah, I've been sexually taken advantage of, but I can't necessarily say it was, taking advantage. It piqued my curiosity like crazy, but that's just me. I'm just a little hornball as it is. As I said, it's been a few decades, but honestly, women are castrated permanently in prisons in the U.S. as those where prisoners were forced to have their tubes tied, as well as hysterectomies, some while in their first trimester. You might wonder what was done about that. It was reported and then brushed under the rug, and then reported on with a few cases a few years later, only to be brushed under the rug again. And that's true. In prisons in the United States, women in prison were getting their tubes tied and hysterectomies. It was getting all of their junk taken out, forced, and some were pregnant. And when this stuff was reported, I was like, what? And look, this stuff was reported in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was first mentioned in the mid-90s, early-ish mid-90s, roughly about 93, 94 area, give or take. And it's like, what? What? This is happening? And the girl's talking about it and this, and it's like, you want to get time off, or you got a life sentence, but if you do this, or it's required by law that you such and such and such because you've obviously failed as a mother, yada, all this other stuff. And then they would have religious people come in, the preachers, and talk to them and say stuff like, you've done this to your children. Do you want to do it to more children? And a lot of times what happened is the women that had hysterectomies or tubes tied ended up 6 months later being molested / raped by male guards. This is before the prison system of females started having more female guards than male guards. Before that was going on, females were getting, a lot of people say, look, why don't you just behead me? Just instead of all of this, just behead me. There's a lot of crap that's happened in the United States that people don't even want to think about. And you might sit there and shake your head and say this isn't possible because reasons. But the truth is you're not being reasonable. Look, you wanna fact check me? Go look it up. Go equality it. Do what you gotta do. But it's out there. I watched this stuff on Channel 11. I've watched this stuff, wow. Before, this is like documentaries, on PBS. Good grief. I'm just saying, this stuff has happened. This stuff has happened and it's still probably happening. Just, if no one's going to do anything about it, it's going to keep happening. Just keep that in mind. So also I wrote, this isn't about men versus women. This is about psychopaths with authority not being stopped, held accountable, and most importantly, not being blocked from gaining power in the first place. These people, these crazy, authoritarian, psychopathic people gain authority and they make these laws like the castration laws, the basically the forced pregnancy laws. They make this stuff. The truth is, there's way too much to fix. Way too much. And instead of fixing it, it just keeps getting piled on. And that sucks. Life doesn't suck because life is bad. Life sucks because people make it bad. That's why life sucks. People get in power. They want to have an authority. People worship authorities. If it's not a human, then it's got to be some fictional deity. People love authority until it's someone that they don't find physically attractive that wants to have some authority. Then they got an issue. Yeah, I know too well. So, considering all transgender and same-sex people are pedophiles, does this law brazenly target them with everyone else self-convincing that only child rapists will be targeted? Now, what I'm trying to say there, I'm just writing this off the top of my head, and I obviously have to explain this crap because it's just throwing it in there, and what's in my head is usually jumbled from what I really want to say. So it takes me a long time to get certain things out if you have not noticed. But there are people, transgender people, and that's what I'm considering. As I said earlier, all the transgender people and same-sex people, they keep being cited and railed as pedophiles. All the time, all day, all night. Just got done listening to someone on Mr. Atheist do that very thing. They're gay, so they're child rapists. What? I would think those Catholic priests are child rapists. They're preachers that sat out there and had teenage boys suck them off to full completion, saying they're doing it for God. Just think about that. And then the teenagers and whatnot saying, I knew it was wrong. I felt it was bad. I didn't want to do it, but how could I say no? It's simple. No, man. And you move on. And you report the fool. Like, this dude tried to rape me. Tried to use God to make me suck him off. Like, does God really want me to perform fellatio on him? It's bad enough he's getting my 10% a week. Does he got to have my throat too? Just saying. So, people like to self-convince. It's a part of being self-delusional. All right. So people say, the pedophiles, they're the gays and they're the transgender, and all that. They want to get away with it. So you're just like, yeah, because this person of religion is saying it. You're not thinking, wait a minute, what evidence do I have that this is true? Come on, religious people, think that. What evidence do I have that this is true? What evidence do they have other than I'm a man or woman of God, I hate this, the Bible quote unquote supports it, and if it don't, I'll say it does because y'all are too damn dumb to actually read the Bible and find that it don't. That actually the Bible is full of people being very bisexual, if not downright homosexual. Just throwing that out there. So think, people, think. I know it's easy to have someone tell you something and you just outright believe it and go on with your preconceived notions of things that you grew up hearing without thinking about. But you know what? It takes a lot to think. It does. I give it that. It takes a lot to think. But it doesn't take much to go, how is that true? And what importance is of me to believe it? What do I gain out of believing hatred towards someone or a group of people that has done nothing to me? That's easy to do, but it's hard to stop your own internal rhetoric to yourself. You got to retrain your brain. You got to think better. You got to ask questions, question yourself, all your actions, everything, and find out if you're actually doing the best for you or the best for someone else. And if you're doing the best for someone else, ask them, why do you want me to think this? I think these are reasonable things to do. I really do. And these, the same sex and transgender people are targeted. They are maliciously, violently, vehemently targeted. So I can't think of any transgender people raping anybody. I just can't. They're very popular in porn. They're extremely popular. I like watching them. Oh, okay, honestly, the ones that look predominantly female, like if not 100% female. Just saying. Those are they're good in porn. Can't be too bad for society, considering the fact that porn makes a whole lot of money. Sadly, it doesn't give back to society. If it did, we'd all be better. If porn gave 10% of its earnings throughout the year, distributed to all of anyone making $34,000 and less a year, they just distribute it evenly, we'd all be sitting pretty. And we'd all be watching a lot more porn, because I know I would at that moment. Like, wait a minute, my life is better because I'm watching porn? This is happening. I just put it on the background and go do something else outside or something, but it would be playing. That's for sure. I got better things to do than to watch a bunch of porn. I divulge that for, I don't know, about an hour every once in a while. In any case. So, arguments. Only one argument has been made, and I am sick of it. It's been made for the longest. It's been made about against black people. It's been made against Mexicans. And now it's being made against transgender people. And it's being made against a child rapist, which has the connotation now that they are gay or transgender. But definitely they're going to be male or male looking or formerly male. Keep that in mind. That's been the narrative for the past 10 years. And it hasn't stopped. But the argument is, if someone breaks into your house and rapes your daughter, wouldn't you want them to suffer or die? So, I wrote an answer to that. If they break into my house and rape my daughter, then I've already failed at stopping them and I'm dead or knocked out. Now, why would I say that? There's more, but why would I say that? Because if you're not home and you're a little girl, because it's never a teenager, it's always a little girl. So someone that's roughly 12 and under, all right, 12 and under, that someone's going to just, look, I'm going to crash through your window, I'm going to find your daughter that you've left alone, and I'm going to rape her. And it's like, well, why? Because she alone. I mean, that's how it plays out in my head. That's how I see it. But but if someone breaks into my home and I just, what you doing, man? Get out my window. And he walks by, go down the hall. Yeah, there you little girl. Come here, girl. And I'm like, damn, he was raping my girl. Oh, this is a terrible thing. Then he comes back. She was good. Now I have the right to be mad. You have completed yourself. Now I have to call the cops and get you castrated. Is this really how that's going to work? Does anyone ever think this shit out? It would be, you're coming through the window. There would be, come on, violence. The fool coming through the window. Honestly, in any part in my house, you come through the window, you're going to suffer an injury because there's a lot of sharp objects, table corners, computers. It's a plastic bottle. But there's a blue dustpan that's on the floor in front of one of them. And I'm pretty sure that's going to cause some damage on somebody's foot. And you're going to come through this window. You're definitely going to come through all awkward because it's small. And I'll be honest with you. If I caught somebody coming through the window, the way they're going to come in, they need to lead in with a gun. They need to. Because I'm going to get a knife and I'm going to stab the shit out that side. I'm going to get them at least 20 or 30 times. At least. And I'll definitely be calling the cops. There's a man dying in my window because he's breaking in and I'm stabbing the shit out of him. Now, most likely I'm going to get shot because they're going to come to my home and say, you're burgling your own home and you're killing this guy. Well, I'm killing this guy because I don't want to fucking die and I don't want him to come in and rape my daughter because for some reason, that's the whole point of him breaking in. Is not to get this, third class hand-me-down shit that we got. Is to come in for my daughter that they most likely have never met. Or probably have not even seen. They just coming into the house to get her. I mean, come on. Now granted, yes. I'm not going to rule out that you could be out at the mall, Walmart, or someplace in public. Someone can see your daughter and be like, I must. And then they stalk your ass. They follow you home. They walk past. walk past or drive past, and they wait for when there's no cars there, and hope that you leave your not underage in terms of 17 and under, but underage as in they shouldn't be left alone because they'll blow up the house. When you come back, things are going to be jacked up. That 12 and under age. And there's some people that make it all right at 12, but I don't think I'll be leaving my daughter alone when she's 12 either. But yeah, to stalk and see that and say, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until there's nobody home. That happens a lot. It does. And honestly, when I'm in the car riding, Sidra driving, I'm watching to see which cars keep on our ass. Because there's sometimes it's like you just following a bit too damn far. And if push come to shove and they follow for a certain distance and all this stuff, I'm going to say, look, when we get to the house, keep going forward. I've done it twice so far. I'm going to keep going forward. We'll circle back around. Because fuck that. I'm like, there's no way you could possibly have to go the exact same place we're going for 20 fucking minutes. It's not possible. So sometimes just check around you. Look at your surroundings. Don't think that you're obligated to be safe or, well, ain't nobody got no reason to search. They might find you attractive, whether you're male or female, and do this. It shouldn't just be your little girl. It's anyone. So just watch out. Be a little, vigilant. Just a little vigilance can save a lot of PTSD and shit. Just saying. Will save you from it, to be a little more accurate. And I further wrote that I would like to think that no one is so sick and stupid that they'd target my kid with such desire that they'd actually break into my house, risking death simply to have unreciprocated sex. I kind of went over that, but not with the because that's what I don't get about pedophiles or pedophiles. I'm like, you're being with somebody that you they can't reciprocate it, not physically or emotionally. What is the point? And then look, let's go further than that. Just not only can they not reciprocate it, but they aren't. I'm not. This is one of them thin lines, and I just want to be clear. I'm not saying a child is ugly. What I'm saying is they're not physically attractive in that way. Okay? I'm not saying that the kid is ugly. They're just not physically attractive in that way. I hope y'all understand that. I hope so, because that's a thin line, and some people just want to. My child ain't ugly. It's like, what? There's a chance your child is ugly. Just got to deal with it. But when they get older, they just might be the bomb. But I'm just saying, right now, that's an ugly damn kid. I'm keeping it real. I've seen some troll kids out there, and I'm like, whoa. Now, how old is he? 7? That fucking look 35 and stressed. What happened? But I'm just throwing it out there. So, so they can't reciprocate it. There's no need on even trying. There's no need on being, they just don't have anything physically, mentally. I can't see the point. I just can't see it. But see, all that came to me just when I had the thoughts of knowing that, one, we have Trump as president, the incels are a thing, and third, we have now forced birthing. The pro-lifers, but not the pro-lifers. Pro-birth, but not pro-life. The incels involuntarily celibate. I don't know why they can't. These racist bastards can't find anyone to have sex with. Just go to a Trump rally, find a female, and just say some racist shit. She'll be with you. That's all you gotta do. It don't take much, do it. Just say some racist shit. No matter if you got one tooth, a scraggly beard, you don't comb your hair or brush your face or shave or anything, or brush your teeth or and you dress like somebody that has had a binge on moonshine for 5 weeks. No, just going up there and be like, I don't like the blacks. The Mexicans need to go back across the border. I don't mind their children being raped by U.S. citizens because they're not U.S. citizens. Just say some old stupid shit. They'll be like, you're so jacked up, but you agree with my hatred and racism. Let's do this. That's what'll happen. Trust me, go out there and try. It's all good. And look, and if that don't work, this is what you do. You grab her by the wrist, right? And you just drag her off and you take it to some place where some black people say, look, you can have sex with one of those people or you can have sex with me, the accepted people. And then she'll be like, with that choice, I don't have it. I'm going to be with you because I just don't like those minorities. That's how you do it, incels. All right? See, I just gave it to you. You're good. You're good. I done gave it to you. You're good. Now you can shut the fuck up and go rape, your, possessions called white women. You can go ahead and do that. Get that done, because you own all the white women. Just go ahead, because you're mad that the black people are being with the white women. So go ahead and get your white women and make sure you own them properly. Let them know they don't have really much of a choice. See how far that gets you. So, okay. So this will be on the lines. This is my quick analogy and stuff like that. This will be on the lines of someone being shot and, wait a minute. Nope, I went too far. My bad. Thinking of forced birth, how does it work that a state or states will force a woman to have their rapist child, but then stop the rapist from having more children? If I were the rapist, I'd be highly confused. I mean, just think about it. Let's say I'm the rapist, and let's see. This is hard. I can't. Rape is just not a thing in my head. I rape some female somewhere. I don't know, but this is hard. Okay, so I rape some female somewhere. And see, now it got me off track. Okay, that's difficult. This rape. Right side of my brain hurts after this. That part right there actually broke me. Trying to think about that shit from a rapist point of view, that broke me. My right head, it's right side of my head is just fucking, it's kind of burning a bit. I think I went too far. But yeah, if I was to rape someone, okay, rape some female, and they have to have my child, how is it you gonna lock me up in prison, right? Think about that. You're gonna lock me up and just keep me from being with my child? I mean, you're gonna force her to have the child. Why can't I just be around my kid? And I mean, just think about it. If I done raped her, and you're gonna force her to have the kid, why can't I be around her? I mean, of course I might want to rape her again, but then she should be used to it. Just like you want them to be used to you forcing them to have children that they don't want to have. You want them to get used to it so they accept the law and then actually, Stockholm Syndrome this law and protect it with all craziness. Not going to happen. Just want y'all to know that. Just throwing that out there, So, I wrote, logically speaking, if you force the woman to have the child, then isn't it only fair that you allow the rapist to go free? It's bad enough the female has been emotionally traumatized for life by one person, but then the state rapes her further by aiding and abetting the actions of the rapist. And for those that need a little clarity on that, the man holds you down, fucks you, comes in you. You're jacked up. You do get the whole rape kit and all that other stuff, but by then it's probably, it's in you, and it takes 3 hours to travel the fallopian tube to meet the egg cell, so you got to hurry. All right, that's if you're ovulating at the time. Now, and once you do get this done and you are pregnant, and it's, what's going to happen is the state says you got to have this kid. Yes, he raped you, you didn't want it, but you know what? I dare you to get rid of it. And that's how that go. I dare you to get rid of it. You're going to go to prison. If you get, it's like, but I'm only like, a month pregnant. It's like, yeah, but God, religion, have it. When my child is born, will you help me? No. Fucking burden to the state. What, you're going to just have random kids and then get on, welfare? Is that what you're going to do? Be a welfare queen? Just have random kids? So at that moment, you're just spitting in the face. I can't see why anybody want to be a patriot in a country like this. I just can't. I can't how we can have go Trump when Trump pretty much wanted and allowed this type of thing to happen. He should have been like, wait a minute, no, you can't force people to do what they want. But you know what? This is Trump. He's used to being a bully, a dictator, in control, and all that other stuff with no brain cells to go with it. My dad told me this about a former friend of mine. He said, he's stupid. If he had a brain, he'd be dangerous. I always thought that was funny. I did. Now I'm like, you don't need a brain to be dangerous. And Trump has proven it. You don't need a brain to be elected leader of the United States of America. You can't say the leader of the free world because we're not free. Keep that in mind. Oh, you're doing your YouTube. You're free. Shut the fuck up. That's what I got for you. And it's not just to shut it down like that. No. There are a lot of freedoms we just don't have. And if you're too damn dumb to acknowledge it, then get fucked. That's how I see that. And, just to help the rapist, but then jail the rapist, I mean, that's aiding and abetting. If someone commits a crime, like, I don't know, if someone, stabs their girlfriend 27 times, she dies, he goes to prison, and he comes out of prison after serving his time of, 22 years? 22 years, and then he breaks his parole, he violates his parole, and now he's hiding into someone's home, and that somebody is now aiding and abetting because the cops can't find him. But if they find him there, then that person's going to go to prison. That's why it's called aiding and abetting, because you're an accomplice. So shouldn't the state, if someone rapes, and they're going to force her to have the child, isn't that aiding and abetting the rapist? Just asking. Doesn't it make sense? So I think the last thing I wrote is right here. This would be on the lines of someone being shot and bleeding fairly bad, but the state sends in a team to add warm cloth, water, and anticoagulants to help the person bleed out because death begins at injury. Just saying, think about it. Just think about all this stuff, all right? I hope I got everything out. I hope I made sense to everyone. This is a long one, but woo! Life is what it is, and I want to make sure that you live a very honest, open-eyed, open-eared, and open-minded life. This is Cedric Kennedy for Comparative Reasoning. Thank you for listening.